Hey there guys, and welcome to a follow-up video from my original video that I haven't done yet because it makes more sense to record them this way. For Only War, a 40k Imperial Guard tabletop role-playing game that I'm going to be organising for my channel, for my Twitch, and I'll also be putting up on YouTube. Now, in the original video, the first one you will have seen, but the second one that I'm going to do, I'll have talked about the setting and how you can join yourselves and all that kind of stuff, and kind of the details of the game. In this one, I want to provide like something that you guys can come and watch and see, and if you are interested in playing, it'll give you kind of like a soft introduction to the 40k system and to the rule set and all those kind of things. So we're going to create a character. I'm going to kind of walk you through that. I'm going to take you through the roles you might need to do and how they work and all these kind of things, and just generally like how the game's probably going to play out. So this is Only War. We're going to jump straight into it, and we're going to go to generating characteristics. Now, don't worry if you don't get this straight off the bat. So, here's your character sheet. What I'm going to have done, and what I have done, is you can see over here on the right, yes, you can see over here on the right a little bit, I'll scroll down a little bit. I have templates for all of the regiments that you can join. The regiments being the Sisyphean Guard, Breath of the Emperor, the Imperial Pegasi Guard, Imperial Line Regiment, and the Naboom Banshee Regiment. All of which have been created by me and people in the chat while I was streaming it. And this character here is based off the Naboom Banshee Regiment, and his name is Heinrich Chard. So what we're going to do is we're going to generate the... Here we go. Oh, that's a lot of rolls. What we're going to do is we're going to generate the characteristics, and how we do that, you can see the base characteristics are 20, and then depending on the regimental homeworlds and other things, you add stats and take stats away. You can see we have 26 in toughness, 17 perception, ballistic skill is 23. Now, I've already done that for all of the regiments for their kind of base characters, so you don't need to worry about that. And I've also added in skills and just done like the general ranged weapons and knife and armor and things like that. The gear's all in here, so you won't have to add it in yourself. That's all going to be done. So when you create a character, the first thing you need to do, aside from maybe create the name, you might want to wait for a little bit, but this is how you create a character. And I'm thinking about kind of twisting this slightly, so maybe you don't get kind of balked characters. But we'll do this, and then we'll, like when we're actually before the game, we'll talk about a different way, or in the future we'll talk about a different way to do the characteristics. Because if you get a melee fighter with really bad weapon skill is used for melee attacks and defense, parry, stuff like that. It'd be a bit of a shame, because these characters are kind of going to be not one-shots, but they're not going to be like long campaign characters. So it'd be nice to have effective characters in that sense. So we'll see. But we'll do it this way so that you get an idea. So it's a 2d10 roll added onto your base stats. So that's pretty simple. So the way I like to do it is roll... You won't be able to see this. Oh crap, you won't be able to see this. I thought I was really clever putting the camera over here, but apparently I wasn't. See if we can move this so you can see. There you go. Okay, so you'll be able to see this. So roll 2d10. So you can see I rolled a 1 and a 9. Now, there are different ways of doing this. You can roll 3 dice and take the 2 highest, which may actually be the way to do this when we actually do it. So let's do that. Roll 3d10. There, you see, like that. That's why. Okay, so that's a 5. We'll do it. Sorry, that's a 4. We'll do it like this just for the sake of everything. But I may allow re-rolls and stuff like that when making characters as well. So let's put that in Fellowship. So you put a 4 there. Now your Fellowship is 24. You do it again, and for the sake of expediency, I'm going to do this 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 more times. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Okay, so from there, so this one is an 8. So the way I like to do these, and I'm pretty much going to allow whatever, but the way I like to do these is I like to have people roll their stat and then choose where to put it, and then kind of go down the list like that. Do it roll and then choose, roll and then choose, roll and then choose. Another way to do it is roll all of your stats and then assign them. That allows you to create a slightly better character, because, you know, like you can see here, I rolled 19 because we get rid of the lowest number. But down here I rolled a 20, so I could have like put that 19 in my favorite stat. Say if I wanted to shoot with my ballistic skill, you know, like with the lasgun, I put the 19 in there, and then I've rolled a 20. I may have to put that in something I don't really want it in, like intelligence or something, if I don't need a character with intelligence. But yeah, we'll decide how we want to do it. So for now, let's do it how I suggested, with the rolling everything and then choosing. So I'm going to put my 20 in here, so that's going to be 43. And then we have a probably best to write these out. So we have a 19, we have a 13, we have a 10. Yeah, we have a 10. Then there's the 20 that I've already added in, and then we have a 17. Really bad at numbers and addition and stuff like that. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Got 13. Shush. And then we've got a 9. Okay. So, all of these stats are going to be going into all of these characteristics. What I want is I want a pretty decently tough guardsman who can weather hits but can also shoot, which is why we put the ballistic skill high. We probably don't want the melee specifically high, but it can be useful defensively, and if we get into a situation where we're suddenly find ourselves in melee, so it doesn't want to be too low. So the 9 will probably go into intelligence, so we have 29 intelligence. Let's get rid of that. The 10, I think we will probably put into willpower, so 30. Now, I'll talk about this in a second, but willpower is basically like kind of fear tests and mind attacks and things like that. Probably not going to be a massive thing in my only war campaign, but you never know. So we've got a 13 and a 14. So these are kind of like middling stats. They're quite good. I did roll pretty decently. So I think the 13 will go into here, so we'll have 33 weapon skill. Fairly standard for a guardsman is 30 to 35 is kind of pushing on to decent. So that's our 13, and then our 14 we will put into, I think, perception. So that's going to be 21, 31. And that makes up a little bit for the -3 we get in character creation. The regimental stuff, they get -3 to their starting stats. And we got an 18 and 19, which has left us with... Sheepy has suddenly realised that he's possibly messed this up. We'll roll one more 3d10. So we'll put the 19 into toughness, so that's 35, 45, that's pretty damn good. And then we'll put the 18 into agility, which is going to be 38, again, quite good. There we go. And then we'll roll one more, because I don't know which one I didn't pick. Roll 3d10. And I like this a bit better, because you can get bad rolls. but for the most part, it's not too bad. So our strength is 32, because that's a 12, I believe. Yeah, that's 12. So yeah, 32 strength. Now, the way these characteristics work is you have, when you roll a skill, or when you roll like your ballistic skill to shoot, for example, you roll a 1d100, and you have to get that 1d100 under your skill. And the more you get it under, the more you get what we call degrees of success. So we'll roll the ballistic skill, like that. You can see the number in the big brackets, the 25, is what I rolled, which is a really good roll. Because guardsmen aren't that amazing, they fail quite often. So the 25 represents my roll on a 1d100, and the 1.8 degrees of success represent how much below 43, my ballistic skill, I got. So this is something I'd have rolled to hit, you know, with my lasgun or whatever. If we're playing in the game and you say I want to shoot at that orc, I'll say, okay, roll to hit, and then there are a whole load of other things that give you bonuses and stuff. It's down here, you can see half aim, all this kind of stuff. It does really start to bog down this game sometimes, which I like to kind of sidestep as much as possible so that people don't get bored having to go, you know, half aim and then full attack and then blah, 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 you know, and just keep going and going and going. I like to kind of streamline it a bit so people can kind of play the game and not worry too much about all the stats and everything like that. So you'll see what I mean if you play or if you watch. But yeah, we'll try and keep it simple. But this basically means that I would have hit them, and then I'd roll my damage, and depending on a few other things, you have like semi-automatic and stuff like that too. The other thing we have here is skills. So the skills represent things like, if you said to me, if you were talking to a prisoner, for example, and you're interrogating him, and you wanted to find out something about him, or like about enemy movements, then I'd say, okay, roll me interrogation, and let's just give you a tick in interrogation. And then you'd roll interrogation. Interrogation is based on rolling really well. Interrogation is based off willpower, which you see our willpower is 30. We actually rolled a 22, which is a success. The degree of success is 0.8, so it's not an amazing amount of success. So I'd probably give you a decent amount of true information from you interrogating your prisoner. And you have this for a whole load of different things, like you have Medicae, which is healing, Inquiry, which is like interrogation, but more asking people, and is based on your fellowship instead of willpower. You've got Dodge, which will let you dodge attacks, both fired and melee. Deceive, obvious, you're trying to tell lies. Command, if you're like a sergeant, very often you'll be commanding your troops and kind of, you know, if you want to give them an order and have them follow it, how well they follow it is, you know, based on your command. If you want to rally troops that are running away, again, command helps. A lot of it is how you approach it. So you could also charm them in certain circumstances. So you can command people, you can charm them. It all depends. And you can see here, like, you've got different ticks. So the first tick in any skill is trained, which basically means that you can use your stats. If you don't have a tick, like for example with commerce here, you can see I rolled an 85. My actual my actual aim would be half of 29, so it'd be like 14, 13, and I'd have to roll that on a D100. So it makes it a lot more difficult. Once you've got a tick in command, it becomes just 29 or under. If you tick 2, then you add 10 to your roll, so it would be 39 or under. You add 3, it's 49 or under. You add 4, it's 59 or under. And this is a great way to make your rolls easier in certain things without having to level up your stats, which is really good. That's the basics of characteristics and skills. If you don't understand it all completely, that's perfectly fine. Like, if you're in a game with me and we're playing this, I will explain to you everything. I will kind of take you over it if you need to. It's a little bit complicated, I will admit, and I find the best way to learn is to just play, you know. So, like, if you've got the basics of it, that's great. You have talents and aptitudes. We're not going to worry too much about that right now. You've got your weapons and all the statistics for it. It is very chunky, this game. It's a lot of fun, and you'll realize once you start playing, a lot of it you won't need to worry about. So don't worry too much about all this stuff. Now, what we are going to do next is we're going to pop on over here and go to 84. There we go. Which is one of the classes, Weapon Specialist. And what I'm planning on doing, because there is quite a lot of high mortality in only war games, I'm not going to be super murdery, but there will be times when your characters will die. And I'm not just going to be like, oh, your character trips over and your grenade explodes, you're dead, see you later, you're out of the game. What I'm going to do is, we have certain types of characters, like sergeants that you can choose, and operators who operate tanks, and as you can see, yes, walkers, very mini AT-ATs, I guess. Wait, ATSTs or AT-ATs? I think ATSTs are the walkers, I can't remember. Like the bipedal ones. You got medics, and oh, it's a train going past. Okay. You got like heavy gunners. They can have like missile launchers and heavy, like kind of heavier machine guns and stuff like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have it so that you guys as players will be able to have like your main character, and you can start with him. We'll figure it out, see what people feel comfortable with, like how worried they are about losing their main character, and they can be like any class you want. And then we'll have a few like kind of standard soldiers who you can have as backup. They won't have all the special like heavy gunner medic stuff, but they'll still be soldiers, and it means that if your character is very unlucky, or if you kind of play your character very gung-ho and like, oh, I'm gonna charge into a squad of orcs and melee them all to death, and then you obviously get ripped apart, you'll be able to fall back on a couple of characters, and, you know, I'll try to, like, injure your characters, so if you want to come back and play again with the same character, you should be able to. We'll work that stuff out. But yeah, for now, we'll focus on... No, that's the sergeant. For now, we'll focus on the weapon specialist. Now, the next part of making your character, as you can see here, you can have starting aptitudes, talents, and modifiers. So you have characteristic bonus, +5 ballistic skill, or +5 weapon skill. Seeing as we're going to be a regular soldier with shooting, we'll take +5 ballistic skill. So we actually go up to 48. As Sheepy was doing that, he realized that there was something he didn't explain yet, but he'll get to that. In terms of aptitudes, we're not going to worry about that. It's an added complication that I'm just striking off. Because of the way we're playing, there's going to be a lot of two episode, you're gonna kind of like short shot series in this kind of grand campaign. You know, the people who I'm gonna get in for YouTube, and the people I'm gonna get in from Twitch, the kind of content creators, I guess, they're going to be playing like, you know, a couple of episodes, and you guys those of you who want to play in these games will also be in for like 1 or 2 episodes, and then it'll be new people coming in, playing for a couple of episodes. So the aptitudes I don't feel are important. The skills I'll probably put in myself, and when we're building the characters we can, you know, chuck them in. But basically you start with athletics or survival. I think probably these guys would go with athletics. Well, this guy I think will go with athletics. And then we have navigate, surface, common law, Imperial Guard, and war. So navigate, surface, there you go. That kind of thing. Common law. I'll just chuck this in here. War. So some of these skills, like Low Gothic and that needs to be unticked, and Common Law Imperium, Common Law Imperial Guard. These skills are taken when you create the regiment, and then when you create your character, you get a few more skills. So we've got Common Law War, and we've got Athletics, and was there something else we had to get? There was Navigate, Common Law, Imperial Guard, and War. Okay, and we already had Imperial Guard. So let's talk about the skills very quickly. Athletics, for example, would be very much if you're having to cross like a battlefield and you're getting shot at, I might have you roll athletics. If you're like running away from the enemy, you know, there's like a general retreat, or you just want to run away, which probably a bad idea because commissars will shoot you for, you know, being a coward, but it is possible. So you'd roll athletics minus 0.5. I'd probably be fairly easy on you. I'd be like, okay, you know, you don't get back, like you don't get away completely. Maybe in your hurry to run back, you realize you're a little bit slower than everyone else, and you panic and you drop like a piece of ammunition or something like that. So you'd lose like a bit of ammunition or maybe some food rations or something. You wouldn't get hit, you wouldn't get injured, but you'd run back. So as I said, I'm not gonna be. I've got really itchy nose. I'm not gonna be like super. I'm not gonna be super harsh, but there will be times when I can't avoid killing you. You know, like if you're, as I said, if you're meleeing a bunch of orcs and you fail your rolls to dodge, you don't get away. If they hit you hard enough, you're just gonna go down, and likelihood is, you know, your character's gonna die or be severely wounded to the point where he won't be able to fight for a while. And if your character if your character catches like an artillery shell, he may lose a leg. Most likely, he'll be taken back to the medicays. He'll be worked on. Maybe he'll come back with like a peg leg or something like that. You can play him again. I'll try to keep it fairly easy going in terms of like getting rid of your characters. But yeah, the other thing we need to talk about is the stat bonuses. So stat bonuses is basically this left side, the 10 column in all of your stats. If you ever hear like stat bonuses, best example is here in your armor. You have 4 armor, just kind of 4 regular armor for your armor, and then you have this total armor bit here, which is basically your toughness bonus, which is added into your armor to mitigate damage that's done to you. And damage done to you translates into losing wounds, basically. Don't worry about that too much. And you can see, because I've got 45, my characteristic bonus for toughness is 4, which means that translates into 4 extra armor. If it was 35, it would be 3, and it would translate into 7 extra armor. So this character that we've made here, Heinrich Chard, he's actually quite tough, comparably to some other characters that might be made. And it is a good idea to take reasonably high toughness. Now, one of the things that I think I'm going to... Yeah, I think I'm going to kind of house rule is I'm going to say 13 wounds, just for all characters, unless you want to push your luck and roll a 1d5. I think it's plus 10. Yeah, if you want to roll a 1d5 plus 10, you can maybe get to 15 wounds, but you might end up with 11. To give you an idea of damage, this is like not a particularly strong gun, but this is a damage roll for... Okay, that's not very good. But this is a damage roll for the M36 lasgun. If this lasgun was shooting at my character, you can see, I'm not going to get too into this because I don't want to be too confusing, but the penetration for this is 0. It doesn't penetrate through armor, so this 4 damage would be mitigated by the 8 armor of these guys. If I'd have rolled a 10, it's 1d10 plus 3. So if I'd have rolled a 10, that would have been 13. That means that 8, let's say, I'm not too worried about like body locations and stuff. Again, it slows down the gameplay like really heavily. And if you're playing a game with lots of like combat and rolls, it it can mean that a small engagement lasts an entire session. So, but let's just say our armor is 8, so that would be it would be 2 and then 5, so it would be 2 and then 3, so it would be 5 damage total, which means that I would take 5 damage to here, which would take us down to 8, so we'd be at 8 wounds out of 13, and that kind of represents like just general kind of wounds and injuries you take. Once you get down to 0, you kind of enter the kind of critical damage area, and that's where you can start dying and losing your life and things like that. So yeah, that's all of these things. In terms of these extra things like trade and scholastic law, common law, what that is used for, it's actually really useful. What that's used for is it kind of represents your character's knowledge of the setting. So you can come into this with 0 idea about 40k, and you will have common law Imperial Guard, which means if you're in a situation where you as a player aren't really sure what's going on, you know, like if the characters are talking about rules and regulations or a commissar, and you don't really know what that means, you can say, what do I know about commissars? And you can roll your Imperial Guard, and that knowledge will be presented to you. So I'll say to you, commissars are kind of a mix of officer and punisher. You know, like they're the guys who, if you retreat, they're gonna execute you. You know, they keep morale up by being like horrific kind of punishment for doing things wrong, for not charging when you're told to charge, for running away when you're supposed to be fighting. If you desert, they're probably the ones gonna, you know, hunt you down and punish you. So yeah, that's like the, and you know, again, like with war, if you're in a battle and you're not sure what you should do, you can always say, GM sheepdog, what would be the best thing for me to do? And I'll be like, oh, well, roll Imperial law, raw, common law, war. And you go, okay, I'll roll that. No modifiers. Don't really know. And then I'd present to you maybe a couple of options, not very terribly good options because you didn't succeed. You know, I'd say maybe you can like crawl up into that crater with the like smoking ruins of bodies, and you know, kind of hide under the body. Or I'd be like, oh, that outcropping over there looks like it'd be quite a good place to get to defend. And then you get there, and it turns out there's a whole load of orcs just on the other side of the stone, kind of thing. So yeah, that's the basics. What I'm going to be doing when we have our sessions is I'll be outfitting you with weapons, and probably before the session, I will actually go through and give you guys your weapons you're going to be using and all this kind of thing, and then we'll probably RP it out. But yeah, I wanted you guys to have a basic idea of what you're going to be doing, because I find one of the things that made me very worried about role playing in shows and this kind of thing is the kind of, what if I don't know what I'm doing? You know, what if I'm sitting there and someone says, oh, you know, roll to hit, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like you know, it's very simple. Go down here, you go R to hit. We'll do a half aim. We'll do it standard range, and all of this kind of stuff. I'll tell you. You know, so I'll be like half aim, standard range, semi-auto fire, and then no modifiers. And then you can see I do that. I got 1.4 degrees of success, and I'll be like, roll damage. You just hit damage, and I'll be like, okay, that doesn't do any damage because you rolled a 1. Again, how did I roll a 1? Give me some proper damage here. 7. There you go. Still doesn't do any damage, but still, you know, there you go. And yeah, that's kind of the basics of it, you know. What I'm gonna do to kind of like round out this first/second video. There'll be a link in the description, by the way, for the first video. I'll probably put it at the end screen as well, so you can just click on it. the idea for this will be that I will talk to you guys before the show starts, and I'm sure I'll say this in the other video, but the important thing to note is all you need is a microphone. For those of you who aren't content creators, things like that, I'm not going to be demanding that you have a camera or anything like that. You're just going to need a microphone. I'm not gonna push you to like role play heavily. I'm not gonna push you to get into, you know, to kind of like lead yourselves or anything like that. If there are any of you who do decide you want to play, then yes. If there are those of you who decide you want to play and that you do want to kind of be a leader, you want to decide what to do, we can work that in and we can work that out. Like I'm totally willing to do that. But yeah, the important thing to note is that I'm not going to sit you down, get you in the show, as it were, and then be like, okay, now roleplay everything. You know, what do you look like? What's your hometown? You know, give us a speech about everything. I'm going to try my best to kind of keep it fairly easy. If you want to roleplay, then you can kind of, you know, start working into that yourselves. But I'll basically give you guys your objective and kind of like give you nudges so that you head in the right direction, and then you guys can just kind of take it easy, enjoy the game, go out, die horrifically, kill some orcs, you know, whatever you feel like doing. So yeah, that's pardon me, that's the basics of Only War. It's going to be called Charlie Foxtrot, which is military nomenclature for clusterfuck. I'm going to lay out in the first video, if you've seen the first video, I'm going to lay out how you can kind of play in the games and how you can get involved. But the main thing I wanted to do here was kind of ease you guys in to the system, give you an idea of like character creation, of the types of roles you may make, and just give you a feel for what's going to happen. So, you know, you're not kind of thrown into this cold turkey and you don't know what's going on. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope that some of you will want to play in the game, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll mention this in the other video too, but one of the fun things is that you guys are going to be playing in the same campaign as all of the content creators. You know, people. I've spoken to a few people who said they're up for at least one session. You know, Gaming FTL, Josh, Peachy, Fuzzy Freaks, Peach Pixelate, Fuzzy Freaks, you know, a few other people, and hopefully I'll get a lot more, and you guys are going to be in that same campaign. So if you get a mission to go and clear out a bunker, it's possible in like a later episode, in a later part of the campaign, you know, you'll have Fuzzy Freaks or Peach Pixelate, like, guarding and dying in that bunker, and you'll be able to be like, I took that bunker and those bastards lost it, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the kind of general idea. If you haven't seen the other video yet, which I'm probably in a little bit gonna go and make, go and check it out, because it's gonna detail how you can get into the I guess you call them viewer games. I don't really like that, but I guess you call them viewer games. You know, and all the details of the setting and the campaign, and going to go into details of the regiments and stuff like that a lot more. So if you haven't yet, go check that out. If you're interested, I'll definitely be detailing, you know, everything else that you need to know.